Hello, welcome to Rauta, I'm Jerry, and this time we go to Poland for some black metal. So let's start reviewing, but before we get to unbox this baby and see what's it all about, let's take a look at this band on Metal Archives. As you might already know, there are quite a few bands with name Horns. This is the Polish one playing black metal. Themes, according to him anyway, are evil, darkness, blasphemy, apocalypse. Can you really go wrong with that? I guess not. So this is the third album or fourth release if you include the EP from 2015. The band has been here for 10 years now with 4 releases. Sounds pretty solid, pretty active. And this one is the 42-minute of an album called Oswiecenie. Oswiecenie. I really don't know how to pronounce it, so sorry for that. Now let's take a look at this CD here so you know what to expect from the album having a burning church on the cover. At this point I feel like making some of the jokes, but then again I think some burned churches, I mean, it's not that bad of a thing. Then you have the CD inlay, which is I guess 2 stock. I don't want to break it. And on the back side of the things you will have 4 gentlemen, and this guy was like, I don't wear that corpse paint, it's not too manly enough for me. And the other was like, okay, whatever you do, man. 7 tracks released by Putrid Cult early 2024, and by early I mean late February 2024. So this is very, very fresh from the oven as I'm doing this review. And like I said, on the cover, a church in flames. Can't really go wrong with that. And then some skulls. By this point I'm already like, okay, I'm liking it. So the style here is pretty traditional black metal. I guess you could say it's traditional Polish, or at least Slavic black metal. There's something really, really Eastern European to the whole feeling of the album. Something that is kind of hard to describe, but once you figure it out, you're like, yeah, it ain't no Nordic, it ain't no Norwegian, Swedish, Finnish, whatever. And this is, of course, by no means a bad thing. It's just a thing. You either like the so-called Polish or Eastern European thing, or then you don't, but that's part of the charm here. Now, these guys, black metal is far from being original as such. I guess it's pretty much like going back to the traditional ways. You could really put this in the late 90s or early 2000s or 2010s, and you would say, yeah, it's kind of a timeless, it's kind of a like those albums you can really put your finger on it, but at least it works like the way it's supposed to. It's pretty aggressive in a way. The vocals are really like pushing the boundaries, but the songwriting is just kind of a basic. And this is not to say it's a bad thing, more like noting this isn't really reinventing the wheel, this isn't really creating anything new as such, but more like let's do a basic black metal one. Now whether you see this more like a bulk black metal thing or something like, I just love it because it's, the kind of black metal that gets me going versus all these avant-gardist or industrial or atmospheric ones. It can really be both ways, positive and negative, or just neutral thing. My point here is, while this album is very, very solid as such, I mean, there are no big complaints or whatsoever, the thing here is, you really don't have the memorability. You don't really have the thing which really gets you going, your fist banging and all that stuff. Now, necessarily, it isn't even needed, but then you are like, should I go for the classics or should I go with this one? And this, I think, is a more like a generational thing. Coming from newer generation, I guess people are more likely to go for this album. But those who already got their dose of a lot of good black metal back in the 90s, who are old as me or older, probably feel like, yeah, it's pretty good and all, but why would I choose it over, some classics from the 90s or 80s for that matter? I would say Horns definitely has the material to do it, but this ain't the kind of album that will be a future classic. Is it good enough for listening? Surely it is good enough to be mentioned in 10 years. Well, I guess time will tell. But links are provided in the description box, so go check it out in case I got you interested in some Polish traditional black metal. And if you didn't like it, well, then you go and move on with more reviews, more albums coming your way. This is Rauta, and off you go. Bye.